Hello, hello, everyone. I have a special guest here tonight, and good morning to you, Ghary, from Hawaii. Good to see you, Ghary.
Aloha.
Aloha. I believe that there are many people in ALC community that are wondering, who is Ghary? They have seen you many times, and you have been very, very active in the community, Ghary, in so many ways. And at least I and a couple of more people would like to know a little bit about your background, a little bit about your story in life. So that's actually the reason for this talk today. And I have prepared some questions for you, Ghary. So my first question, are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
I met you at Hawaii in November 2023. And I would like you to start this conversation by telling a little bit about your background. And when I say background, I mean, tell me a little bit, where you born, a little bit about your parents very shortly, and what kind of work have you done in your lifetime? I know it's many questions, but very short. What is the answer to that?
Well, I was born and raised in Hawaii. I'm third generation Chinese American. My father's grandfather on my father's side came to Hawaii in around the late 1800s, and he was a vegetable farmer. My maternal grandfather came to San Francisco in also in the late 1800s. So we're talking about 1870 to 1880, that time period. So he was a butcher in San Francisco. And then my parents eventually met up there. And then my mother came here and got married to my father. And so my upbringing actually was mostly in Hawaii until I moved away at some point. I've actually went to public schools in Hawaii, and then I went to the university. I studied real estate because of the fact that my father he was in commercial appraisal. And so I decided to go into that field, knowing that he knew a lot in that area. And I had hopes one day of moving to New York to get into maybe investment feasibility or property development, things like that. So after graduating that, I worked for him for 10 years. And then I got so disillusioned with the whole thing that I ended up opening my own business. It was kind of a recreational karaoke kind of place where people come to sing to background music, and we make videos and things. Unfortunately, it didn't do too well. And then I sort of didn't know where I wanted to go at that point, and then I ended up moving to the mainland and to New York City. Actually, I was there for a year, worked for a company that was into motivational seminars and other things. And then after about a year, I kind of was trying to figure out where I wanted to go. I moved to San Diego for a little while, and then I moved across country to Florida, and then I moved back to LA eventually, and I stayed there for about 10 years, working over at CBS television studios, kind of like a peon, gopher kind of messenger stuff. And then later I ended up just doing some things on my own. And then I returned to Hawaii, knowing that my parents were getting older and wanted to spend more time with them. So I've been back since then. So.
Okay. So both your parents, they are not alive anymore, correct?
That's
You,
correct.
yeah, but if you should say who have shaped you into you who you are, of course your parents have been two people that have done that.
Yeah.
Who else have influence on your life when you were growing up and becoming the man yet you are?
I would probably have to say is, just throughout the years, you meet different people and they do something or they say something to you, and then you learn by that, or you learn through either observation or through things that happen to you. So for me, it was more of this of things that I ended up doing or happened to me. Like for one thing, it was moving to New York City at that point. It was a entirely different aspect, and it shifted my life in such a huge way that it's impossible to go into all the details.
Mm.
Later on, I think you know this, a lot of people in the Arigato living community know this, that at some point I became homeless when I came back here to Hawaii for about 10 months. That shaped quite a bit of who I am today, and my compassion for other people. Writing my book was the other thing. It was an amazing cathartic experience in doing so. It helped me reveal a lot of the things that I had been thinking about from before. And then working for that motivational company when I moved up to New York and other things, that shaped quite a bit of who I am today as to how I think, what I believe in, and things like that. So, yeah.
Mm. How long time are we back in time when you have did you say 10 months where you were homeless? Is that correct?
Yeah, that wasn't that long ago. I'd say that was about 10 years ago or something, 9, 10 years ago. Yeah.
What would you say would be the most important thing that you learned by being homeless for a while? What was the best thing that you learned from that?
Well, one of the things that I write about in my book uh, is about worthiness. And I know one of the people that I've met in my lifetime was this gentleman. He wasn't famous or anything. He was just somebody I met at McDonald's when I was living in Los Angeles. And he had come up to me and asked me for some spare change. And I said, I don't give away any money, but I'd be glad to buy you something if you're hungry. And he said, okay, yeah, he's hungry. So I said, well, what do you want? I said, I'll buy you anything on the menu. So he starts to think, and he's sitting there, he's standing there thinking about what he wants. Takes him about a minute to do it. And finally he said, well, I guess, hamburger, because at that time, I think hamburgers were like 59 cents at McDonald's, the regular small hamburger. And he said, and a small drink. So I went in and I bought him that supersized thing, Big Mac, and the supersized with a couple those apple pies and everything. So I gave it to him. When I gave it to him, he sort of lowered his head and he quietly thanked me. And I could see it. It really, meant something to him, obviously. But when I got back to my car, I actually started breaking down and started to cry in the car. Because I realized that this man had lost his self-esteem so badly that when someone asked him what he wanted, anything that he wanted, he ended up choosing the least amount as possible for himself, And that stuck with me when I was homeless myself, so that I could not get to that place, because by then I already knew about vibration, about, feelings of negativity and things. And I knew that to jump from feeling a failure and feeling worthless when you're homeless to jump to a place of happiness where you're bringing in and creating wealth and other things. You can't do that. You have to take it in steps. And the second thing I learned too is the fact that if you, like what Ken teaches us, in order to get anything, you have to give out energy. But I wasn't giving out energy. So how can I, as a homeless person, be willing to, is going to accept anything or to expect anything if I'm not giving out positive energy to others or helping others or giving up myself? Doesn't have to be money. It could be any kind of energy, right? This is what we learn in this community. And so I think worthiness is the biggest thing that I've learned, and also gratitude. And I write about this in my book, that when we are grateful to others, we learn what it is to be loved. And when we understand that, we end up receiving back from other people. And the more people give to us, the more we feel loved, the more worthy we feel, and the more we accept and enlarge our money container, as Ken uses that term.
Yeah. So in your life, you have also received inspiration from other people, like writers, like authors, like speakers and inspirational people. Who would so obviously Ken Hunter have inspired you. Who else have been an inspiration in your life, and also to things in your new book that you're working on? What would you mention?
Oh, definitely. I have to start with Wayne Dyer. I had heard about him from a recording that I had heard of his story about how he started writing for the masses. And then I was at a seminar one day in Los Angeles, and he mentioned about this brand new book that he had read called Conversations with God. And so quickly I went over to the bookstore and I bought the book, and I read it within a day or two, within the next day. And at the back of the book, it said that if you wanted to take some seminars with Neil Donald Walsh, that was the author of Conversations with God, if not, people don't know that. I called that number and I spoke to the guy, and he says, well, this is up in Oregon and I was in Los Angeles, so the drive was pretty easy. So he said, well, we have one seminar coming up, a workshop coming up this weekend. He says, except there's only one seat left. And so I said, that's my seat. So I drove up there, and everything started from that point on, as to my learning about spirituality on a very deep level, and this idea of giving back to others, that in order to get what we want, we have to help others. And I mean, it's a kind of a thing that we've all heard before, and I used to, I tell people that I used to think it was a lot of bullshit, but it wasn't until I joined the Arigato Living Community that I found out that that was exactly true. It is so much true, and so I've embraced that now in my life. That you come here, there's no reason to acquire anything. You ain't going to take it with you, right? So if we can't take anything with us, then obviously there's a different reason why we're here, and that is to help each other, to find our way.
Ghary, I think not only me, but many others in the community think that that you are very kind. You are a person that are very calm and helpful and all that. I have never seen you angry. and upset. But here's my question. Ghary, what makes you happy and what makes you angry? Because there must be something that makes you angry. So what would you say to that?
Well, let me answer the first part really quickly. To make me happy, I guess, is helping others to discover who they are themselves, find their way. That's what brings me the most joy, I think, in life.
Yeah.
Nowadays, at this age, I don't get as angry as I used to. It serves no purpose, I've discovered, you know. And the other part of it is realizing that everybody has their own pathway, their own journey, and therefore that journey might be living a certain way that they want to live. So I realized one of the things that taught me was that there are going to be people that you meet that you just can't help, and that are going to disagree with you. You know, I totally understand that the reason why we're here is to come to experience and express love, and how we do that could be in many different ways. You know, you could be a homemaker, a mother, you could be a butcher, you could be a lawyer, whatever. There's so many ways to learn that, to experience that, and to express that in what you want to do. And so, given that basis, I think that there are going to be people who just want to do it differently, and so you can't help that, you know. So we come to this place of non-separation from a place of extreme, you know, where we're all part of God, we're all part of everything in unconditional love. And we have to understand what separation is. And separation essentially is this idea of seeing other people, the contrast in other people, so that we can decide how we want to live ourselves. That is the whole purpose of why there is contrast in this place, what we call Earth, to where we live, you know. So to get angry at that is kind of a useless thing, you know. After a while, you realize. So.
But can I ask you, what about can you not be angry at some politicians, some businessmen that have been treating people very, very bad, or if children are used for something very, very bad and you hear about it, or can you let go of all that and or what?
You know, one of the things that I did before in my life was I was a hospice volunteer, so I sat with the dying. I also ran a non-grief death and dying discussion group for a number of years, and I also was a hospice volunteer, so I sat with the dying, and I interviewed a lot of people that went through near-death experiences. And that time in interviewing near-death people, I met a couple of them that told me this story that when they went into this near-death, they had met their soul family. It's what they call your immediate family of all these different souls. There are about a dozen of it. But they were in this meeting, and they didn't know what was happening. But then one soul was saying, okay, so Morton's going to go down, and he wants someone to treat him like this. He wants someone to love him, or he wants someone to treat him like shit. And so who wants to volunteer? So one of the souls would say, I will. And they said, okay. And all of this, I was told by these two individuals, was that all of this was done out of unconditional love, because there is nothing else over there, right? So if one can grasp this idea, which is very difficult, I understand, that everyone here, all these souls that we encounter, even people who are tormentors or someone that kills us through drunk driver or something are all here for a purpose. We're all here to help us understand things that we choose that we want to experience in this lifetime. Take, for example, some two souls that come here that want to learn about loss, and they lose multiple family members in a short period of time, or they have infant death, something like that. Or we go through alcoholism or through homelessness. It's through different situations that we come to experience that, which we use. I believe that those experiences, those challenging experiences, help us to figure out what we are meant to be doing here in the first place. Once you can figure that out, then it doesn't matter what you're doing in that sense. For me, I have a joy in writing. I think I can do it well enough that's why I choose to do that and talk about that.
So will you say, when I ask you, what is your passion? What are you passionate about? Is that writing now? What is important for you to get that out and inspire other people, or what is your passion? What is your
I would probably say my passion is to help people understand the reason why we're here, why we are here, what they are here for, and how they can have a good life. That's what my passion is. And whether it's through writing or it's through interviewing people, I don't have as many big goals as some people. Frankly, what I want to do is I want to have this ability to just travel around the world and interview people, whether it's someone extremely successful or it's someone who's made it in doing something significant in their life that has touched other people. Some people who are in the dying state that are ready to make that transition over, or just somebody that I'm traveling through, say, Tibet, that I happen to meet with an interpreter. And I ask them about what they believe life is all about. That to me is worth a life living, and it's worth writing about also.
Yeah, I love that. I love that vision or that idea. That's and I remember this quote that life is a journey, not a destination. This traveling out and find the happiness in the journey, not in the destination. At least that's what I would like to practice also even more on my journey, to have happiness on the way. I suppose you have the same.
I have to say there's one thing that I learned that has been significant, but it doesn't happen for younger people. I happened to hear that commencement speech that Steve Jobs did for Stanford years back, that everybody, it's on the web. And he spoke of the fact that when you're younger, you're doing things and you just can't connect all the dots. You're going from here and you don't know why you're here. You're doing this and doing that. And that was the way that I was before. But he says it's not until you get to the end of your life that you're able to look back and connect the dots. And for me, because of the writing and because of me being the type of person that I am, I've always been so curious about why things are. I think one of my gifts is to be able to take very large concepts and to help to explain it to others in such a much more simpler way. And so I think that I think a lot of it has to do with being able to see how certain things worked out in my life and how I'm able to use that to help others.
Yeah.
To learn by that, yeah.
And if you look back, all you look back as many years you want, which moment in your life have that you have experienced did you learn most from? Do you have a specific moment where you say that moment was the biggest learning experience for me? It can come from a mistake, from a success, from whatever. It doesn't matter. What is the first thing that comes to you around that?
You know, someone asked me the question, what do you think is one of your biggest regrets in life? And I was thinking about that, and I realized that I don't have any regrets of anything that I've done, because everything has contributed to who I am today, you know, for that fact. But there is one thing that I do regret, and there was a time when my father used to take my mother and the family to this wonderful restaurant in Hawaii that's right on the water, and it's an old time place that has hula dancing and music and everything, and the food, you know, it's a really great place to go. And my mother used to be a dancer. She was a performer back in San Francisco in her heyday. And so I knew that she loved dancing. Well, this was her birthday. So she asked me if she could dance with me. And because I was so embarrassed by it, because I didn't know how to dance, I told her no. Well, she asked me a couple more times, and 2 more times I said no. After that, she's passed away, obviously now. There's one thing I regret, because I was thinking about it. I said, you know, here your mother is asking you to dance, which she loves to do, which is, you know, her background. And she's doing it on her birthday, and her son can't even dance with her. You know, in my head, I was thinking about being on the dance floor and other people sitting down looking at us and having these thoughts in their head like, look at that guy, he can't dance, you know, what the hell is he up there for, right? But you know, that's not going to happen. That would never happen. And so I think that's one of my biggest regrets, and one of the biggest lessons that I learned is that, you know, this fear that we have to find ways to overcome it, and just do it, right? That's what they say, just do it. So
I wonder, Ghary, if it's possible to have that dance in a visualization or in imagination or in some energy forms because I know that you cannot bring your mother back, but maybe it is possible in one way or another. I cannot figure out how, but that dance could actually happen in such a way that you actually feel that it was happening. It could be in a dream, or it could be I don't know, but it was just an idea that came to me that maybe it is possible. What do you say to that?
well, I've had discussions with my mother since she's passed. I've had discussions with my father too, because I believe that they're always here with me, helping, guiding me. And so my mother, you know, she was the one that taught me unconditional love, really. And so, you know, she told me, don't worry about it. But she was just glad that I got the message, you know, because
So
obviously.
maybe Ghary, you have to invite her for a dance one day.
Yeah.
Let's go for the next question. You can think about that. Ghary, we have about 5 minutes left in our talk here. We could talk long. I know that because we both like to talk about things that really are precious to us. I know we both have that, but you're working on your book right now, and you have already talked a little bit about your dreams and goals in life. You want to travel around the world and have those talks and so on. Other things in your life that you think, yeah, I really would love that to happen, and I will work on that as well. What is coming?
I don't know, Martin. I don't really plan that far in advance. I know that I've got a whole bunch of books within me. My book is slated to be released September 17th of this year, 2024. It's actually going to be 2 books. It's going to be the main book called Abundant Soul, Abundant Life, The Art of Living You. And the second book is a companion workbook, which really goes into depth about that. After that, I don't know. I'm just leaving it up to spirit to guide me and tell me where to go and what to do and more,
I like that answer. I like that answer. And I can tell you that some weeks ago, I asked my daughter, she's 21 years old now, I asked her about her dreams for the future. And she said to me, Father, I don't have any dreams. If I want something to happen, I just do it. And I really thought, wow, that was like a big also reminder to myself about if you have something you want to, you don't need it as a dream, just go for it. And that's what she focused on. And that's part of her personality. So she is a kind of teacher for me, incredible teacher. My son also, but yeah. So
I noticed one of the things that I've had a problem in the past, which I don't have as much anymore, is that when I plan something so much, I ended up not doing it before. But the things that I would think about and say, I like that idea, and then just do it, come so easily. And so I think there's obviously a benefit in planning, but I think that, really, you have to go to how you feel. If you really feel you need to do something and you want to do it, then follow your heart. That's the main thing.
yeah. And I think, Ghary, that in this talk, I call it talk number 1, because I have an idea that I'll have a couple of talks with you. So call it talk number 1. We will close this conversation with this that we have just talked about here and say that was the end of talk number 1, and we will continue.
I do want to mention one more thing, Martin. Knowing that this is for the community, the Arigato Living community.
Yeah.
I think most people don't really appreciate the fact that what the true beauty of being part of a community like this. It is a non-judgmental type of community that offers you the ability to become who you are. It's not about, Ken is not looking to create clones of himself. It's about finding who you are for yourself and using that community to help you, to give you support and everything in order to move forward. So, no.
Yeah. And again, as I started this conversation, thank you, Ghary, for what you bring to the community and to many people when they have some needs for support. You are very often there, so thank you for that on behalf of myself and many others. So should we commit to have a talk number 2 one day?
All right.
Okay. So thank you, Ghary. I got you from Morten, and then yeah, I look forward also to the next time.
This wasn't as bad of a tough talk. Called tough talk.
Yeah,
So wasn't that tough.
yeah, that was tough.
Okay, Morten, thank you.